Theories about what caused Flight 370 to vanish abound.
The aircraft's movements were consistent with deliberate action by someone on the plane.
Could hijacking, a renegade pilot, or terrorism explain what Malaysian authorities say was a deliberate decision to turn the plane off course? Probably not, some pilots are saying.
I just do not believe that this could be a nefarious event. I see a professional flight crew that try to handle the situation.
There's a simpler explanation that could account for what happened. Pilot Chris Goodfellow offers a theory, posted online, that's getting some attention. A fire, perhaps caused by an electrical problem, leads the cockpit to fill up with smoke, like in this simulation. Under this theory, the flight crew does what any experienced pilots would do, putting on their oxygen masks, turning the plane toward the closest airport to try to land safely, punching the destination into the flight computer.
The objective really is to get yourself on the ground as quickly and as safely as possible.
The plane turns west, but smoke soon fills the cockpit, overwhelms the captain and co-pilot, and shorts out the plane's communication systems. With the pilots incapacitated or worse, and no one awake to land the plane, it keeps flying on its last programmed course, past any airports, and eventually runs out of fuel and crashes somewhere in the Indian Ocean.
Twister 111 heavy is declaring fan. We have smoke in the cockpit.
Fire has caused fatal accidents before, like the 1998 crash of Swissair Flight 111 off Nova Scotia.
I think that's a very plausible idea.
Military radar data is revealing more about the mystery of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. But with these possible new clues come new questions. At 1:07 a.m., the plane was on course from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. At 1:19, no sign of any trouble when the co-pilot told air traffic control, "All right, good night."
I'm really concerned about the pilots right now.
Over the next hour and 21 minutes, something big happened on that Boeing 777, a sharp left turn toward the Strait of Malacca before the plane descended to 12,000 feet, intentional maneuvers that took minutes to complete.
I'm open to any scenarios. I think the data that we got from radar and so on has been sketchy at best. If this is indeed true information, this airplane descended to 12,000. It was a professional flight crew handling an emergency, and they were turning the airplane to divert it and begin a descent.
Why would a pilot drop to 12,000 feet or 3,700 meters? Not to avoid radar. A 777 is easy to spot at that altitude. But 12,000 feet would allow the pilots to depressurize the cabin, making it safe for all 239 people to breathe. The biggest question of all, why was there no Mayday call? If the pilots had time to change course and altitude, why didn't they communicate? As we continue learning what the plane did, we still can't answer the biggest question of all. Why? Will Ripley, CNN, Kuala Lumpur.
New information is revealed about the final hours of Malaysia Flight 370, giving us more insight into what was happening in the cockpit during the critical moments before the plane went down. Saturday, March 8th at 12:41 a.m. local time, Malaysia Flight 370 takes off from Kuala Lumpur headed to Beijing. The Boeing 777 is carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew on board. 26 minutes into the flight at 1:07 a.m., one of the plane's critical communication systems, called ACARS, sends its final transmission. It measures thousands of pieces of information about the plane and pilot's performance and sends it via satellite. We now know it shows the plane remained on course for Beijing, contradicting earlier reports that the pilots programmed a change in the flight path in the cockpit before sending their final radio transmission. A transcript from London's Telegraph newspaper reveals there's nothing out of the ordinary in their communications with air traffic control. At 1:19 a.m., this exchange. MH370, please contact Ho Chi Minh City, 120.9. Good night. The co-pilot's response, all right, good night. At 1:21 a.m., the transponder, which identifies the plane to civilian radar, stops communicating. Critical information like the plane's flight number, height, speed, and heading are all cut off. This happens at the same time the plane is supposed to check in with air traffic control in Vietnam. Then between 1:21 and 1:28 a.m., a Malaysian military radar shows the plane making a sharp turn over the South China Sea, then changing altitude as it heads towards the Strait of Malacca, dipping as low as 12,000 feet. The plane then disappears from all radar. At 2:40 a.m., Malaysia Airlines tries to contact the missing flight. By 3:45 a.m., the airline issues a code red alert declaring a crisis. 6:30 a.m., Flight 370 is due to land in Beijing. At 8:11 a.m., more than 7 hours after takeoff, the final ping from the plane, a commercial satellite orbiting more than 22,000 miles above Earth, receives the plane's final so-called handshake. Now, a new analysis puts Malaysia Flight 370 here, far from any landing site, in the South Indian Ocean. Suzanne Malveaux, CNN, Washington.